Hello. This was not supposed to be coming. Apparently, I have. I think I have sound. Is there sound coming into my mic? Can you guys hear me? Did someone say beer? I typed beer. I just need to know. Can you guys hear me? Can anyone hear me? Is there anybody out there? Hi guys. I managed to get my good camera working this week, and then my subscription on Restream is like, you don't get to have any. Yay, I'm working good. My Restream subscription is like, no, you don't get to have any blurred background. So get to change that for next week. Hi. I'm hold on. Let me just adjusting this down a little. Adjusting that down is not going to work. Why? What? Here's one day I will have all of. Now we're crooked. We didn't need that. How did I go from being all? Oh, I'm off kilter now. That's unpleasant. That is vaguely unpleasant. My wife will vote for the. I'm glad to know your wife will vote for a freed nipple in the privacy of your home. Hold on. How did I possibly get so off kilter here? Hold on. I had a camera that was completely on kilter, and then mayhem, hijinks, utterly wacky shenanigans. How did this get so there? All right, there. We might have something functional now. Ooh. Okay, there we are. Hi guys. All right, we're hold on. Let me just. All right. So this morning, instead of doing my job, which is writing for you nice people. Well, let me rephrase this. My job is writing for the patrons who pay me. So you nice people, the ones who showed up today. Is my job's writing for all of you. This thing is still crooked and it's going to drive me nuts. So I just need a level on top of it, which, well, it's just a little crooked, and I will survive with just a little crooked. I hear you, it's happy. So say it's belated Mugshot day. Like it's the day where the Mugshot is coming in hot all over my timeline. Is anyone else's timeline anything other than Trump's Mugshot today? Mom as well. Oh, I missed that. So I was supposed to. She must have come in over on where I can't see her over on the Facebook feed. But is Mom watching? Mom is up in Nova Scotia visiting our family. So hello, Nova Scotia. Free the beer and the titties. Indeed, Craig. Indeed. See, not that much getting tired of it. It's getting tired of getting. What are you getting tired of, Old Bear Brian? Are you getting tired of the mugshot already? Because really, I could go with another few years of that thing being plastered across my timeline. Hi, hello. Mom has entered the chat. Look, the mugshot. Look, having it be every single one of my friends' posts. Like it's not so much that I'm tired of the mugshot, because I've been waiting for this for what it's been 7 years. It's been how many years of Trump being like, "Hi, I'm a criminal, and I'm going to get away with being a criminal, and I'm going to keep being a criminal." It's been a long time coming. It's just, I was just say yes. Indeed, Jack, completely agree, Jacqueline. The memes, there's some good ones. Like I'm enjoying the ones of Hillary laughing, because remember all those times they said, what was the lock her up? They didn't need to lock her up. There was no need to. It was him who needed to. It's almost like every accusation was a confession, every single one. But no, I got so used to, and I think we all did, I got so used to Trump not being a presence in our life and on our timelines. And it was nice. It was really nice, wasn't it? But yeah, that was that was it was a good few years there of getting used to less Trump, or Trump not on the timeline. Now it's going to be a lot of him for a few minutes of the trial, and then who knows? Like I have friends who are sure he's not going to see more than 5 minutes in jail, and I have friends who are like, yes, the wheels of justice are turning slowly, but they're turning, and I'm not sure which direction I think it's going to head in ultimately, because like I never the case that I heard for him never seeing a day in jail, and I thought it was an interesting the Cougars. It's there. I thought it was an interesting case for him never ending up in jail or staying in there for his sentence. They'll give him a sentence. It'll be like no matter what, he'll be too much of a disruption. They'll end up suspending it. He'll be put on. He'll end up being assigned to serve it on house arrest or something, because whatever the terminology is, he'll be deemed too much of a disruption, too much of a it's not. It would be too much of a disruptive presence to the other inmates, and or a danger to himself, and he'll end up just being on house arrest, and eventually he's just not going to listen to the rules of house arrest. So I've heard that argument. I don't know. I think it depends on who. I think it depends on where he gets. I think it depends on where he's sentenced. Like if it's from federal, or one of the many states he's being charged in. Now here's the thing. I see that he's joked about fleeing to Russia. Like I think he would have done that already. Now I understand this is like charge number 87,000 he's been hit with, but I don't think that he's gonna end up fleeing. Like if he, and here's my theory. If there was a friendly dictator in a country where he could read the alphabet, he'd consider it. Like it's not, like I think it's not just that he doesn't speak the language; it's that he can't. Like it's Cyrillic. I've taken a little bit of Russian. I don't. I would say I speak it poorly, but that would imply that I speak it at all. That would be giving me way more credit than I deserve. Yeah, the thought of Trump moving to a place, even if it's to flee, to hide, to whatever, like where his life gets less comfortable. And I mean, I understand his risks right now are jail in a country where he's continually been able to outrun the justice system for years of alleged financial crimes, and crimes against humanity for continuing to just Trump. And I or go to a country where as much as he thinks Putin is a friend of his, Putin is a friend of no one. Like he's a friend of the oligarchs who fund him, and Trump ain't got no money. Trump ain't a he's like, even if it was a real plan, even if it was a real thought that he was going to go to, he wouldn't take the risk that his life will get more uncomfortable temporarily, like when he knows he's got a shot of keeping his very cozy life in the U.S. I'm certain that he can't read in any language. I accept. Let's see. Let's have a look at this one. Sarah Palin came out today and suggested that the cult should stand up and resist, as in an insurrection, a civil war. She needs to be like. Here's the thing. Remember how hard it was to nail Trump on the things that on him very directly telling people we're going to head to the Capitol, and all of the different things that were in his text messages saying all the things that he very directly knew that what he was doing was. I don't think that you can get Sarah, like what are you going to charge her? Like, you need very direct proof that people got people to do what they. Thank you for. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Martha. I had a really good time on. Sorry for the quick jump over something, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. They sent me flowers. It says it was a good time on the show. But yeah, like there's nothing they can really charge her with unless they can directly tie that statement to a bunch of other statements that are happening behind the scenes. Like that's the thing that's kind of, similar to with between law and science. They're not gonna there someone is not going to get in trouble for a thing that they cannot definitively prove was tied from a statement to an action. I'm gonna just gonna click on that one. Now I always find these kinds of, like, look, I understand, like, there are two sides to this. Now I understand it is bad to we're fat shaming, and that is, I don't want to fat shame anyone. How And I want to be clear that I don't think Trump has many character flaws. So many character flaws. Just he's got a Trump's worth of character. He has, like, I mean, fuck, just like what, a half a human worth of DNA of him created Eric. That's a character flaw, okay? Like, it's there's a lot going on there. I don't think that one of his character flaws is that he's fat. I say this as someone who's weighed 244 pounds in my life. I now weigh about 100 pounds less than that. But here's the thing. That was not a character flaw of mine. Eating more than I did now, not a character flaw. And I also think we often lie about our weight. A lot of us do that. Plenty of us do that. Okay, it's right. Yeah, I think everybody watching me right now, and whoever the fuck is going to tune in later, promptly click off, because what the fuck is going on in the background here? It's everyone. Most people have lied about their weight at some point in their life. I think the reason we're picking on this is the brazenness with which he is lying about his weight. And I think that is an okay thing to, like, the number of times the Trump administration has lied, just like said things that were like, we all saw this with our eye holes on television. Like, we witnessed this. We were there. I mean, we weren't there, but like, we saw this happen. The eye holes, we were. And I think seeing these things has been fucking with people. So, like, the number of, along with Trump's mugshots, the number of times I've seen men who are like, just FYI, I'm dropping this here for no reason whatsoever, nothing. I just wanted to let y'all know I'm 6'3" and 214 pounds. Like, they'll just, just wanted to, FYI, just no reason, just let it drop in my height and weight here. And I find those, I find those highly entertaining. So, look, I get, and I mean, I see what you're saying. It's not that he's heavy. It's just the narcissist in him thinks, and I don't know if it's the narcissist in him that says that, or if it's just he threw out a number and doesn't care that no one's going to believe it. Like, right? Like, is there any amount of concern that, like, it's like, yeah, everyone's going to know this is bullshit. Everyone's already called him on the bullshit already. Nobody could possibly think that's a real number. And everyone knows he's not 6'3", because, we've seen him next to people who are 6'2", and again, he's not even a short, what doesn't make sense is it's not even that he's a short guy. Just what, there's, like, I don't, again, and there's nothing wrong with being short. It's something very weird about having this ego about it. Let's see. Donald Trump transferred. I saw that. Donald Trump transferred ownership of Mar-a-Lago to his son days before the arrest. That was unexpected, right? Like, I saw that earlier today. Trump has apparently claimed that's not true. But, he also claimed that he was 6'3" and 215 pounds, which, who the fuck? We're being catfit, right? Hello, Russell. So, it's all very, that's a thing with, that's a thing with narcissists, is that they're, like, they lie because, I'm not a psychologist. They lie because on some level, if they keep on, they can't handle. Hello, Christian. They lie because they think they can get away with it. They lie because they cannot handle the ego injury that comes with being, with being told they're wrong, and there's going to be a lashing out anytime that they're caught, and they're going to be caught often because they lie about such insane, just utterly nonsensical things that. Like, why not just, like, as some of you may know, I've recently cut somebody out of my life who was a big part of it, and they would. It's even if there was a conversation in which I was clearly the expert about the thing we were discussing, and I would offer a piece of information about something I wrote about SciBabe. I would get argued, but I would be told I'm just saying there are people in this life who will. It is better for their brains to keep telling themselves, even when they know they're wrong. It's better for them to keep telling themselves, no, 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 no. I'm just gonna tell that they're wrong. And it's like if they can keep on planting that seed out there, it's easier somehow for them mentally. And most of us kind of are dizzied by this because we're not narcissists. That's kind of the that's kind of the punchline to it. Hey, Star, he's 6'1". It's I tend to, like, having been the weight that I was, I tend to agree with this assessment. Not an ounce. He's like, look, I'm 5'9" and I've weighed 244 pounds, and Trump, that's got to be a close approximate, give or take. That's how weight works. Like, I think that we're always we tend to tag people lower, and it's partially because we do lie about our weight. So we always think that that like, because most of us lie down, or sorry, most of us lie to keep our weight, to keep the number that we say our weight is. We keep that lower than it actually is. Like, I'm 5'9", and now I weigh, earlier today, the scale said I weighed 146. So that's like, and I think people hear 146, and if they don't know the musculature, the build, the height, all that good stuff, that doesn't always sound like a small number of pounds on a person. But I'm 5'9", and I'm just saying I'm muscled. It's knowing what I look like at 244, and that I'm this height, and that Trump is taller than me, and a guy, and men are more muscled and more muscled and bigger. There's no way he's less than 270-ish. And that's not, like, here again, it's just I heard you could bet on his height. Oh God. I find this funny and I heard you could bet on his height and weight. Clearly those who booked him just, yeah, it's, what I found the last time I had a doctor's appointment. I didn't realize I were going to, because you walk past the scale, and we were just heading into the room. No big deal. The chair that I was sitting on weighed me. They were like, "Oh, we need to take your weight." Okay, and like, I'd been in there for a doctor's appointment not that long before, and they were like, "Oh, we don't have to stop at the scale. The chair. Well, just sit back." I'm like, "I'm gonna take my shoes off." But yeah, that's new technology they've got at Kaiser, is chairs that will weigh you. And I really wish they could have put that money into hiring more doctors instead. That would have been great. Like, we could use a better, patient to fucking physician ratio. Because my doctor never has time to see me. So we didn't need chairs that could weigh. We had scales. We had fucking scales, Kaiser. Anyways, I find, indeed, look, Trump is, I think Trump is dense, and I understand what we're trying to imply. Just, I appreciate, I see, I'm picking up what you're putting down, but let's see, well played. He can weigh infinitely more because of the density. I appreciate. I it's been, so anyway, it's been a nutty few days. I don't, or like, I don't know if he'll ever see too much time inside of a jail. One can only hope. I think that one of the more terrifying parts about this is the number of Republicans who said, "Yeah, of course I'm going to support him if he's nominated, even if he's in prison." Like, what? I don't know how I don't know how that works out. Like, it's what the rules are about that. There was, I guess, a couple of lawyers in the Federalist Society, that group of hardcore super right-wing assholes who are responsible for a lot of the fuckery that's on our Supreme Court now. Like they're the ones that handpicked some of a lot of the right-wing justices that are on the court at the moment. A couple of people in that organization have come out like with some arguments about why in the Constitution, someone who's been charged, someone who's has the kind of charges against him that Trump does, shouldn't be allowed to be president. So it's the calls have to come from inside the house. Like as much as people who are already yeah, as much as we all are, are the the people who are going to be screaming, no, we can't be president, and that was something we all thought beforehand. It really has to come from his own party, and they have to turn on him, or else it's not gonna, that it's they're going to keep voting for him. They're going to turn out in droves. One would hope this will turn some people in the center, but this is something that I've noticed, and people have talked about how, like, through history, people have used their mugshot, or through history, in the history of the mugshot, it's been used as a, kind of as a bit of a political tool. It's been used to say, yeah, the law is out to get me. Here's my mugshot. And they're going to use Trump's going to use the mugshot to say, look, they're out to get me, and it's that thing we're on, quote, our side, and I hate that. It's like, it's the Department of Justice. It's people who are looking at this going, this man did crimes, and we have to, this has to not be a thing anymore. But like on the side where we're like, facts are things, we look at this and go, yes, obviously, he is getting charged with more things, because he did things. It's, you don't get, like, I didn't do a treason, so I'm not getting charged with a treason. Like that, nobody's looking at the Espionage Act going, yes, we hit a Kiko with this. Like that's not a thing that I'm that lawyers are coming into my chat to find people to hit people. Like it's not, you don't get charged with the Espionage Act on a traffic stop. Like, I'm just saying, there's a reason why these things have hit these people. It's because they did certain things. And I think that all of us who are here, we're in this experience together. I think we understand that. And I think there are the people that support Trump, that are on board with him, that are in it with him. When they see more charges coming his way, they go, that's a sign that they're out to get him. And the more charges that come his way, they're like, we see it as justice, and they see, like, if you're a conspiracy theorist, and I think there are going to be some people, and this is not an argument to not bring charges when they're due. I think there are some people who, for whatever reason, there are still fence sitters. Like, there are people who chose to vote for Trump. Like, he got more voters in 2020 than he did in 2016. And I think there are some people who will still because there's so much misinformation and so much propaganda out there, and repeating lies is a really good way to get people to believe them, because they'll go, well, I hear people saying, which people where? And, we're so deluged with misinformation that it's easy to eventually buy just a little, get a little bit of it in the door, and it opens the floodgates, and they are, fire hosing is a tactic there. But there are some people who, weren't convinced, can still consider themselves moderates, or the people who, when, in pre-Trump days would say, I vote for whoever seems more reasonable from the two candidates, that kind of, like, I grew up in New Hampshire, and that's kind of the norm out there. Is like, there's a lot of people who are like, you get a lot of people who are kind of in the middle out there, and who are looking for, who's the guy who kind of makes sense. Like, people have their pet issues here or there, but there are a lot of people who did consider themselves centrist, and not right wingers who say they're centrist. I don't know how else to explain it, but like, there are some of those people who will inevitably see an argument or two that sways them towards going, yeah, it's weird that they've charged him so many times. Like, the fact that why do they have to, all these charges seem to be, it's a and they are going to eventually buy into the conspiracy. Some some people, not all. I don't. I think at this point, people are pretty much they've chosen where they're going to hear on this argument. But yeah, it's going to happen. Some people are going to change their mind. I remember Bernie Sanders was arrested ages ago for lesser charges and was able to run. Wait, he when you say he? Oh, sorry. I saw run and I'm like, do you mean run to Russia? It's no, you mean run for office. Like, it's not. No, this is this is a good point. It's like it's not. It's not that it's not that you can't have charges. It's not that you can't have a mugshot. It's not that you can't have it's not that you can't have a parking ticket. It's that Trump specifically tried to overthrow the government, and you can't be in charge of a government that you tried to overthrow. Like were he still alive, it'd be like Steve Jobs coming in to try to run Microsoft. Like you don't get to run the competition, especially when when it's a country that doesn't. He's like the whole protecting America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Trump is a domestic enemy now, and he always will be. And that's the thing. Like once you're in been charged with with like he's been charged with conspiracy racketeering he's in a I he to try to change the results of the election. I'm just saying maybe you don't get to run the country. It's just I don't know what the rules are. I'm just it doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem okay. So scrolling up a little bit, Judge Luttig says the GOP doesn't exist anymore. He says that the 14th Amendment will keep him from being president again, but it will have to be filed by a Secretary of State. The WAPO suggests that a swing state like Michigan has to do it. That's not a bad observation, Judge. I was supposed to say it's. I don't know how accurate that is, but it's it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out after going into the upcoming election. But I worry that nobody's going to be able to topple him that's running against him, and I don't just worry about that in terms of the election. I worry what that says about us as a country. Like why, how is it that of all the people who identify as Republicans, this is the best we could do, folks? Because this is what we have that identifies as Republican. It's not good. Oh, I'm far too sober for all of this. Jim Jones. Oh, Jim Jones would be jealous of how successful of a cult Trump created, and it's that thing where normally I try to avoid cult comparisons, but there's something very culty, about it's not like I don't know. I've seen people both believe that Trump is still in charge of the government and that Joe Biden is fucking up everything about the government, and to hold both of those ideas in your head at the same time. That's special. That takes labored conspiracy theorizing. So who knows? I worry that one of them may topple them and seem sane by comparison. Let's see. That is no that is a good Here's the thing. Do we want? It's that's a good in terms of one of them toppling him and seeming sane by comparison. Would we rather have a slightly saner Republican who number one, I don't want a Republican in office. Let's just remember we can prevent this by voting for Biden and getting our friends to vote for Biden and remembering that things are better. Things are markedly better now than they were a couple of years ago. Just it's by the numbers. Biden has been a surprisingly good president. And I was like, well, I guess this is the best we can. I was not enthusiastic about this. I was like, it's okay. I guess we're going to survive this. And he was, it's real. I can't, I just want to know, please tell me, Chris, your name, it's Chris Brown, really? Chris Brown. Did you, Chris, I just want to know, Are you being sarcastic? Like, you understand that when the state charges you, like when the government goes, no, we have all the evidence, like, it's because you done it. Oh no! Oh, it's I'm just I no. I understand that you're not that Chris Brown, but I'm also going to call you Chris Brown because your name is Chris Brown. And I'm just saying, the evidence. Like it's hello, angry young man from the Twitchiverse, and I missed you. But I want to know. Have you read? Have you read the documents with all the evidence in it, showing like have you read it? Like, because there's the charges are all like, yes, there's the he is presumed innocent until proven guilty, but also, have you read the charges? Okay, yes, but he still needs to go. Okay, it's you understand that like this us here right now, the those of you what like this is not a trial right here. You like I know that I'm not a judge. Like I know that you guys aren't a jury. We're having a chit chat. And I know that and you know that and everyone here knows that. Like I also know that he's not innocent because I'm not a fucking cunt, Chris. Okay? That's how that works. Like you can sit there and tell yourself, "Oh, maybe we have to put Chris Brown. I've I've seen the bruises across America's face. I know what he done to that girl. All right? I'm just saying, but I'm not exactly. I'm not in a court. I am not in a court of law right now, and I'm not I can say we can speak our minds on this one. We know what the fuck happened. You can go and read the documents yourself. They are out there. They are published. They're out there in the public. There are people who are better versed in law than I am, reading them, analyzing them, explaining them. And everyone I know who's read them, who knows way more about law than me, is like, my fucking God, he's guiltier than I could have imagined. Like, it's, he, they even called in the documents, in the text messages, they even call in their plans to send fake electors to overthrow the election. They even call the fake electors in their text messages. They even call them fake electors. They even call them fake electors, Chris. I want to I just want to know if they thought that they had legitimacy to their claims that the election was troubled, which it did not. There were no voting irregularities, and you know it. If they thought there was legitimacy, why would they have called the fake electors fake electors? Understandable. I believe it. It's okay. It's okay. I just want to know why would you like? I believe here's the thing. He's presumed innocent when he goes into the courtroom by the jurors, who I don't even know how the fuck, like, because when we do jury selection here, they try really hard to get people who have who aren't familiar with the person on trial. But how the fuck do you do that for the president? But here's the thing: all the witnesses against him, there isn't a single Democrat who's a witness against him in this. Like, not it's there's last time I checked, and I could be somebody please double check me on the numbers. I think it's something like 70-ish witnesses, all Republicans. Every last one. I mean, here's the thing: you say that he wouldn't get a spot on the local council there in Australia, but as somebody who writes about Australia quite often, I've heard of Pauline Hanson. I know what the fuck you elect out there too. So don't tell me y'all wouldn't elect a complete asshole. You would. I just know it. It's just I'm just saying. Everywhere has assholes that get elected to public office. So does Australia. Don't shoot the messenger. I just keep up with your politics. Anyways, there. I would love to see. It's. I'm no Auntie Paul. Did you really just call her Auntie Pauline? Like, that sounds like a term of endearment right there, and she's horrifying. She's utterly terrible. The only reason Auntie Pauline is not worse than Trump is the lack of money and power. Well, Trump doesn't really have money anymore, but the only reason she isn't worse is because she's never had the power to be worse. But yeah, she's kind of a monster, and I don't see like it's there is a parallel there that you're happily missing. But I can't. And here's the thing: I'm not sure at this point. I'm like I can't see. She's a bigger joke. Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna move on because at this point I'm like I can't tell if you're trolling, and I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste yours. If we're all on the same page that Trump done what we are all what we all agree that he done what he done, let's move on. So this week I got far less writing done than I planned on. I went out and picketed twice this week. Twice. We're getting into if you it's I appreciate it, Chris. I'm giving you a hard time. It's been a little bit. I appreciate it. Thank you for sticking it out. We're good. You know me. It's all love when it comes to Australia. But that and anytime I can go on a rant about Pauline Hanson, I fucking will. She's my favorite Australian target other than the cassowary. It's and the British who caused all this madness. But anyways, unlike Scottish justices, federal judges can be sanctioned, recused, and even removed. Oh, and it's such a. I'm just saying it's a thing that could happen. Yeah, the thing. Like, I feel like there should be a mechanism in place for getting rid of a SCOTUS, one of the Supreme Court justices, other than their inevitable death. Uh, but like, can they like? Can, haven't hasn't a Supreme Court justice been whatchamacallit? What's the word I'm looking for? Hi Dave. It's you can. There's Dave front and center now. Front and center. That's really good for coming in late. Front and center. It's back when I was an adjunct professor for a year. It was not. It's impeached. That's the word I'm looking for. We'll get back to that in a second. When I was a professor, if the students were late, it's to lab, like, because a lot of professors wouldn't let them come in at all. I would say you can come in, but you just have to like drop a bottle of Diet Pepsi, because the campus only had Diet Pepsi, and I'm like, as long as you leave a bottle of Diet Pepsi at the door, you may enter. So I was nicer than I'm like, look, it was sanctioned bribery. But anyways, yeah, they can be impeached. I think that is accurate. It was lovely seeing you, Russell. It was, has it happened? For some reason I thought that I feel like it's a thing that has happened but will not, given how things are running now because of the amount. Like, can someone? We're all in this together. Has precedents are scarce. No one's been impeached for their that. Let's see. To do impeachment on. Excellent. If anyone wants to poke at that, thank you so much for posting that, Angela. I'm gonna click on that link later when I'm not, sitting right here. It's through the when I'm clicking through Restream, I can't click on the links in there, but thank you. I'm gonna click on it through the Facebook chat later. But no, it's like I just I so I I'm just saying it feels like there shouldn't be a way for a bunch of people to have a seat that they have for life. Christian crunchwraps are more supreme than this court. Look, don't. I know you're not speaking ill of the crunchwraps, but don't ever speak ill of crunchwraps. I break my ban on gluten for those, and I pay for it every time. But they're good. Has a justice ever been impeached? I'm just reading from this. Has a justice ever been impeached? The only justice to ever be impeached was Associate Justice Samuel Chase in 1805. House of Representative passed articles impeaching him. However, it's all. I'm just saying, it's always the fucking Senate, because you have to. It's. Is it still? Is it the same with the justices? Do they need 2/3 to impeach a? It's Christian. I knew you were my boy. It's like my Taco Bell order is either the three crunchy tacos, whatchamacallit, combo, or the crunch wrap combo. Just it's the Crunchwrap is a perfect dumb food. It's whoever was like, we're gonna put everything into just. Does it exist on this? It's going into one thing. It was a bad idea. So SCOTUS doesn't even have a standard. Oh my god! And they don't even have a standard of ethics. It's I, I I'm gonna say one. I obviously agree with you that they need a standard of ethics, and two, it's unfortunately not going to change. I wish I like because who's going to who's going to implement it, who's going to write it up, who's going to enforce it. And it's just I feel like that's a thing that could have been put in back when Republicans were, I'd say, reasonable, but more reasonable. Back when the NRA was like, yeah, having background checks sounds like a good idea. Like, you'd have to go back to the 80s when, I hate to say it, but Republicans sounded reasonable during the time of like Bush Senior and Reagan. They were starting, the seeds were going in everywhere, and there were a bunch of fucking criminal bastards. But dude is not take from everyone. Yeah, I'm just saying. You could have gotten something that looked like reforms or a standard of ethics back when people weren't being so brazenly unethical, that that nobody would have thought, oh, we need one of these. I think you're absolutely right. It started with the contract with America, and like I think when anyone comes out telling you how perfectly moral they are, I'm a beacon. I'm perfect. Like, there was a rant from George Carlin talking about why why the American voters voted Bill Clinton into office. And why they didn't elect Bob Dole, and they're like, it's to paraphrase to paraphrase that, Bob Dole came out and said, "I'm a good and honest man," and the American voter said, "Bullshit." Bill Clinton, on the other hand, came out and said, "Hi, I'm totally full of shit, everybody," and the American said, "Well, at least he's honest." And here's the thing, I I think it was more like the economy was good, but also there are certain things, like when somebody doesn't seem so fakely religious and pious, we go, yeah, I get that. That's like, and he played the sax. Yeah, the night. Trying to explain the 90s to people now, or to Gen Zers, it's like, so the 90s were we have some regrets, and we're not sure exactly what happened, but we survived it. But yeah, the religious BS in the debate. I did not look. All I can say about the Republican debate is that I missed it, and it doesn't sound like I missed much, and I have no regrets. I can't believe you voted for Perot either. And I'm just like, but I mean, I guess my question is, do we think that Perot cost Bush the election? Like, Bush won for like very, very young. It's like, I would guess that Perot probably pulled some people that wouldn't have shown up anyway, some people that would that wouldn't have, some people that would have been Bush voters, and some people that would have been Clinton voters. And I know he ran again in the next election, but pulled significantly less. But he was the last time that a third party candidate really got a significant number of votes. And it would have been interesting to see a third party, like a legitimate third party, spring up from that, because I would love to see, I would love to see multiple parties. Like, this is where it's, I mean, there are a bunch of countries with one party, and there are a bunch of countries with many, many, many parties, and we have two. We have a bunch of parties that are local, that are like more active at a local level. It's like, well, I know. Like, I have friends who, look, I was a libertarian for 5 seconds, and I'm sorry. I have regrets. I feel bad for my decisions for those 5 seconds. But I see that my friends who are libertarians, unlike some other small parties like the Greens, they're working at the local level to try to, make the changes that I don't agree with. But like, I feel like what happens with a lot of these smaller parties, they show up every 4 years and run for president, and that's like showing up to it's like showing up to baseball tryouts and expecting to on your first day pitch for be the starting pitcher for the Red Sox, and it's depending on the year that could work out, but it's not like why do all like the fact that third party candidates show up with no experience, never having worked in local politics, and a lot of times they do kind of what Ross Perot did and go, "Well, I'm rich. Here are my money bags. Give me. I have money. That means I can do the thing." Um, I would love to see I would love to see one of them show up after being like, here's all the work I have done on local politics, and here are the things that I can do. Here's what I can show I can do. And like that was what's his face, who was Gary Johnson's running mate. Well, was it Weld? Bill Weld was his name, and he was he like I know I have a soft spot for the Massachusetts Republicans because they're you put a Massachusetts Republican anywhere else in the country, they're not a Republican, they're a flaming liberal. They might be a little bit more fiscally tight-fisted, but like they're going to be socially very liberal. And like that, it's at the end of the campaign, like Weld went out and did an interview on MSNBC, basically telling people, vote for. I think this was this is 2016. He basically went out and said, please vote for Hillary, which I thought was pretty amazing. Of someone who was in the who was on the ticket. He was like, yeah, you go. She's a friend of you should vote for her. Like, and that was, I thought, an eminently sensible thing for someone to come out and say. When the heck will we see AOC? I'm going to guess AOC will do a couple more, term or two more, at least one more term in Congress. Maybe have depending on who's running, who has what seat, what things look like in New York. She might run for Senate. Maybe do a term or two in there. Like she's still young, and see what she's also not dumb. She might be a lifer. Like she might be someone who's like, nah, this is where I can be most effective. Like Nancy Pelosi never fucking ran for president. And it's because where Nancy Pelosi could be the most powerful person in Washington was from Congress, and she has been amazing at it. And I know that not everyone will agree with me, but look, there's a reason why she was Madam Secretary twice. It's because she was very quietly, leading Congress through the fucking. She was the person who people handed the phone to when shit went down on January 6th because she could handle that. But I look at AOC and think, it's she might run for, who knows, might run for president one day, but like she's someone who's amazingly, like she's so smart, so good at from what I understand at drafting legislation. She's put out and I was skeptical at first, and it's partially because like whenever someone seems to be very presents themselves as I'm a reformer, I'm a progressive, I'm always like, all right, let's see what you're actually going to do. And she reminds me, I've never been a big Bernie fan. She reminds me a bit more of Ed Markey, who's from Massachusetts, who's been just in there pounding away at legislation for ages. And like, look, again, I have a soft spot for the home team. Like, it's, you show me show me a progressive from Massachusetts, I'll show you someone who's going to try to get some shit done. Is someone actually in here saying really did you just like, I'm not even going to wait for another comment from the person who came in and said Trump 2024. Just block. Nancy is political Jedi master. And I'm a big fan. We like Nancy around here. We're not just, like what it's, why would someone even come in and just drop a Trump 2024 comment here? Like that's very silly. Like it's I don't have it in me to get into an argument with that. It's mostly because I don't have that many unisyllable words for that person, I don't have it. I don't have it. Anyways, unisyllabic. Anyways, but big fan, big fan. Scrolling. Katie is cool too. Am I? Oh yeah. Shit. Katie Porter. It's. I'm I'm a huge fan of Katie Porter. She's and I mean, did she get elected the same year as AOC? I don't remember if it was the same election cycle or one after that, but huge fan of hers. And she was the first person who flipped her district blue or red to blue in a while too. So that's and that it's that's one of those things that brought up a question recently amongst a couple of my friends of is Orange County actually red, or is it or has it flipped? Like, is it just that it was were there more Republicans registered down there? Is it like have the demographics changed? In Orange County over time, like was Katie Porter just said, like was it an anti-Trump thing that more Democrats came out? Was it a good candidate thing? Which we love good we love Katie here patriotic when we have patriotic prank calling, which we're gonna have Sunday. We're gonna be having our Patreon call. Is gonna be it's Patreon as a I love you guys. Thank you for keeping me alive. We're gonna get together on Sunday and do some a private for patrons only. If you want to join for that madness, there's a link down below. There's also, if you don't want to support via Patreon, why wouldn't you? You get something back for that. There are other ways to support the channel. There's links to my PayPal and to my Amazon wish list where, look, there are even cute shoes in there. You want to get me the shoes. Anyways, I'm just saying though, we're gonna be calling. If you have Sunday, if you want me to call your senator or just your town mayor or whatever the fuck, it's our patriotic privilege, duty to call our officials and let them know what we think of them. Exactly what we think of them. I'm just look. I'm saying, Russell. There's a reason. There's a reason why you guys get extra live streams. It's because you keep me alive, and I appreciate Cyber arriving next year in a month. If I could crash through this house, other than my roommate killing me after she emerges from the rubble. But yeah, Michael, I see. You're in Colorado now. Can we troll Robert? Yes, we can. I think every time we've tried to call Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Three Toes, they both had their mailboxes full, and that's like the downside. It's like, number one, nobody ever picks up, obviously, because we're calling on the weekends, and number two, it's if their mailbox is full, we don't get to leave a voicemail, unfortunately. So I think I believe we've tried to call Ted, but I don't know if we've gotten through to his voicemail because he's just look when when you're the guy who everybody, like, the number of people who've come on and said, yeah, he's the most hated guy in the Senate, like that's impressive. Like it's a Senate that has Lindsey Graham. That's pretty fucking bad. But I'm happy to give it a college, to give it the old college try, to leave a little bit of a message for Raphael. He's just this is sending them our love, our thoughts, and like someone said, you need a Cybabe neon sign. I'm running the business this week. Bosses on vacation. I just send me an email to cybabe@gmail.com and we'll get. I definitely want a neon sign. There's like, I feel there's room for it. Like, if you can see where my finger is, like, that's my brother's old license plate that says Cybro. He was very proud of what I did, and got his, that's my little Leo corner up there. There's a lot of different Leo stuff in various corners of the room if you can, but that's, but I'm like, where would I put it? It'd have to be somewhere. I'm also not sure where, I'm not sure if this is where I'm going to stay permanently for the for the location that that I stream in the room. But for now, it's like this is good. Like last week when I tried to start streaming, I felt so bad when I ended up being late for the stream. When I plugged my camera in for the thing, all of a sudden, every like plug camera in, all the audio turned off. I'm just like, what? This is a thing that can happen after trying every last troubleshooting suggestion. Did what we all do when we need troubleshooting help. Found a Reddit thread where people sorted it out, and I had to go into Device Manager, go into if you have a Logitech cam and this happens, you had to go into Device Manager and turn the sound off from the camera, which was just bizarre. Like in order to get the camera to not turn the sound off on the entire computer, it was just bizarre. But let's see. But yeah, that was. It's yeah. I'm just not sure if this is where I'm gonna plunk down for good. It's a nice little setup here. I like my new place. Look, divorce has been hell 9 ways from fucking Tuesday. It's awful. Like the number of times before bed that I'm sitting there with Lexi and Buddy, my kitty and my puppy, and we're having snuggles, and I'm trying to get them to calm the fuck down, and trying to get the cat to not be like, and now is when I'm going to try to sleep right on top of your chest. When it hits me that I made a decision to there's my dog barking if you heard that. I made a decision to take my family and to the family that I said I do to. I made a decision to say I don't to it anymore, and that's caused me some tears recently, and it's I'm for no apparent reason, and I'm happy with my decision, and it's still fucking awful. But one of the things I do like it's but my life in general, having moved out, is better, and I like my little spot in the universe. But it's just there's a lot that goes along with it. Anyways, back to this. I see this question. What do I think happened? Now, here's the thing. I hate I know that people were very hesitant to ever comment on what they thought Trump's mental bullshit was years ago, which was really weird to me given how fucking obvious it was that he was a narcissist or a sociopath. It's still obvious that he has got something, and the dark triad personality traits are there, and we all know, and everyone who's worked with him knows it, and everyone who's dealt with him knows it. And I see this question, and I want to say, well, here's a list of things that it could be. I just don't fucking know. Because apparently later that day, people asked him, he was talking to people, and he was fine. He ran into reporters in those little tunnels that they have, and he was fine. I don't think that's a stroke, because you don't walk around fucking fine from a stroke. And I know they have doctors right there at the Capitol, because it's the Capitol, and you can't have Di-Fi and Mitch McConnell just dropping dead there like they seem to be trying to do lately. Just we've got senators just collapsing. Oh my God, why didn't they retire? But yeah, if I had to guess, I wouldn't, because I think my best guess is that he literally shat himself. I seriously, that is I medically think he shat himself. Because he didn't seem look, it's just that I don't know. It's as much as it's and I never want to laugh at someone having something, as much as I think Mitch McConnell sucks, and I mean he's just awful. I that's super fucking serious. Strokes have very we would have seen a very you see one side of the face very split, drooping, and one part of the side of the body goes somewhat and I know transient ischemic attacks are a bit different, and they seem similar, but they're I feel like transient ischemic attack possibility, an absence seizure possibility, but also not like seems less likely because people tend to have those. They don't seem to be a thing that happens randomly when people are older. It's like I just don't know, and I don't think any of us are ever going to really know what happened during that. But what I would like to, it's but if I had to throwing a dart at it, uh, the guess that he shot himself, I think is as close to accurate as transient ischemic attack. Like there, we are likely not gonna know, and I think that's fine. Like yeah, I think that's just fine. So sorry, I know I'm repeating myself. Let's see. Scrolling back up, let's see. Call the mayor here in Antioch. A big chunk of our police department have been indicted by the DOJ, and that, my God, what's happening up there in Antioch? Whew. Let's see, Code Brown in the press room. Code Brown in the press room. But look, I'm just like, here's a question. I know that if they ever did implement a maximum age, someone would yell about age discrimination, but we have a minimum age. If we have a minimum age, perhaps there should be a maximum. Like, why can't people retire? Why isn't saying you should I don't. Here's the thing: psych evaluation. There would be inevitably somebody who is and I understand the reason for suggesting this, but also whenever somebody sets out not you, I know it's not your that's not your intention, but whenever there's somebody in charge setting these out, there's always somebody going yes, and if there's there ends up in many cases being a much more nefarious intent behind, or nefarious way of plotting out. Yes, thank you, Dave. Most of these things have been weaponized. Yeah, psych evaluations, IQ tests, they are easily weaponized, because what is the psych evaluation testing for? Like, who's designing the questions? Like, is it testing to see if somebody is exactly literacy tests there were literacy tests in the South, and I mean, it's not. I think that doing something like a straight up there's an age limit, there's something like that, and I get it. That is I think Joe Biden's been a great president, and he's definitely over the age limit, where I would say, if I'm gonna throw an age limit at it, he's probably over that age limit. Which is why I think somebody else should have eventually there were other people in that crop of candidates who would have been a good president too. But yeah, I think that just because of the nature of what is a psych evaluation evaluating for? Is it going to say which combination of generally accepted? I don't know how to phrase this. Which psychological which mental health issues are that we kind of understand are manageable with medications, and that you, me, a bunch of other people that we know are wandering around doing their jobs, doing working as doctors, lawyers, as pharmacists, as as guy at guy, like doing it's doing life with all various types of psychological ailments that we're handling, and what who would put out who would set the test, who would set the standards. Those are things to consider. Like, and here's the thing: I agree with you in theory, but I think we all understand that on some level, these have all been they've been weaponized. There's no good way. Here's the thing. These are I see. I was looking at your response. These are all tools. Tools may be weaponized, but it doesn't mean we should never. Okay. I'm just throwing it out. Like, and Kiko, I know you went to law school. It's you know how how there's a general rule with contracts that if it's not written into the contract, it's not real. Like, if there's a tool available and you give someone power to use that tool in politics, that means they're going to fucking use that tool. they're going to use it. So if if a tool to use an IQ test or a psychological evaluation becomes available to the biggest assholes that we put on the federal payroll, they're going to use it, and they're going to use it for nefarious purposes. Like, let's not let's not kid ourselves into thinking that they're suddenly going to become good people full of wonder and light. I mean, it's not going to work out. If we get a group of therapists and a group of leaders to agree that someone is nuts, that ought to be paid attention to. I mean, here's the thing. It's who which I, you can get a lot of people to agree to a lot of things that aren't necessarily factual. Like, it's the question. Let's see. Psych tests for politics would be a great way to increase mental health stigma. That's another, like, there are a lot of people out there that agree that agree. I want to be clear when I say this. There are a lot of people that agree that COVID vaccines are dangerous, and those people are wrong. A lot of those people are medical professionals. You can get a lot of politicians to agree to that too. Like, does that mean it ought to be paid attention to? I want to be clear. Something as something that could almost serve as a political Rorschach test should not serve as a political Rorschach test. If, like, what do you do if it's something like, say for instance, we had something like this in place, and it was in place a long time ago. Hey, Adrian, say it was in place a good. Let's see, they almost invoked the 25th Amendment on Reagan because they suspected Alzheimer's, and he did have Alzheimer's. And it's like, here's the thing, we have the 25th kicking around, and we're very careful about it. And that is, like, one thing for one, like, for the extreme situations for the guy in charge of it all, right? If we kind of had this about, like, knowing how readily Republicans now throw out accusations of people being groomers and pedos, and words that have lost all meaning at this point because they're just like, oh, I disagree with you, pedo. Like, it's so fucked. How are the accusations going to look when suddenly, oh, that person has ADHD, they can't be in the Senate? Like, what does it look like? What does it look like if psych evaluations and IQ tests? I understand the knee-jerk reaction, but it could be, okay, cognitive function test plus to see if the person is departed from. Okay, here's the thing. If someone needs a cognitive, like, I understand DI-FI should not be in the Senate, or in, like, we all, like, I think we all kind of agree Dianne Feinstein shouldn't be in there anymore. But even if that's kind of who we're using it for, that's not who, like, even if that's who we're thinking about it for, that's not who it's going to get used for, right? Like, that's not the only person it's going to be used for. Like, and to suggest that that's the only person who it would be used for is, I think, I want to say naive, but I don't think that's quite the word. Like, it's you're, it like, I any like, look, you give. You give someone a hammer, and all of a sudden all their enemies look like nails. Just, this is not what they would use it for. They would. I don't think that there's nothing. Let's see. Republicans already say that liberalism is a mental health deficiency. Like, they already say that we all have Trump derangement syndrome. This feed is obviously a sign. Like, how many they'll ask. Like, what, like, who would be controlling what goes into the tests? Who's in charge? I'm just saying, who would be in charge of all those things? There is no good way to guarantee it wouldn't be used maliciously. In my opinion, the U.S. needs to be holding fewer town halls and more study halls. I'm not sure if you're saying I'm being disingenuous, Chris, but I'm not. Like, this is exactly how it would. Like, I'm just saying, back in the day, if you're unclear on why I say this is the case, and I think I'm going to wrap up not that long after this, because I mean, this has been really fun, but it also, like, it's this is it's stressful to go through everything I know about. Anyways, it's back in the day. Does anyone here? Oh, thank you. That's no, here's the thing. I don't think that Akiko's being disingenuous. Because I think that I think that she means it, like disingenuous. Like, or I think that, and I think that it's I like I think that it is. It's let me go back to here's an example that might demonstrate what I'm saying. So y'all remember the Patriot Act, right? A ton of like nobody. I don't think that there was a single Democrat who was like, yes, I definitely want. Don't compare bar exams that are designed to create lawyers to a test that's designed to see who's meant too mentally ill to become a. It's designed to. I'm just. This is you're giving politicians way too much credit. Like it's, and I understand I don't know, maybe I'm giving lawyers too much credit, but I live with one. I'm just like so Patriot Act. We're going to talk about the Patriot Act for a second. Um, so back in a ton of Democrats voted for that. Do you think that the Democrats definitely sat there going, yes, I want to give George Bush a lot of power that we're never going to be able to take back? No. And here's the thing: Simon has entered the chat. I think Simon never left, but I think that they gave him that power because they thought, oh, he's going to use it he's going to use it in a limited capacity as needed for this war on terror. Right? That was why they gave him. That was why they signed it. That's why they said, there would be certain things that would be allowed to happen, just when absolutely necessary. But what happened with the Patriot Act? Anyone? Bueller? Oh, you mean it got bigger and it got enshrined into law permanently? Yeah, that's what happened with the fucking Patriot Act. That's what happens when you give these people a tool. When you give it's don't throw any don't create any tool that you wouldn't want your enemy to have full abuse of. Don't put a tool out there that doesn't have language written into it that doesn't explicitly limit it to precisely what it's allowed to be and what it's not allowed to be. Just saying we need an IQ test and we need a psych eval. Here's the thing, in theory, like if I thought people were good, I would agree with you. But I live in America, so I'm just saying. If they could do say, for instance, because you've seen, for example, Mitch McConnell be Mitch McConnell for the last 14 centuries, right? Do you trust Mitch McConnell with it's Patriot Act was born of a knee-jerk reaction, poorly conceived and executed. Look, I'm just saying. But yeah, they had decades. They had decades to fix it, and they did not. They just were like, we're gonna let them keep that power. That's power they get to keep. Nobody ever took that power away. Nobody takes power away once they give it to people. Don't ever you don't sign your enemy. Don't sign yourself up for power that you wouldn't want to give to Mitch McConnell. And I understand this is to try to get rid of the Mitch McConnells, to try to get rid of the Die-Fis when they get when they get to the point where she's at now, right? And I understand that. But man, that's there's we're gonna end up very it ends at a very bad place if we say, yeah, we can use a little bit of this power. We like this. But being president is basically an executive job, and most executive positions require experience from references and educational credentials. And an interview, Trump got in without any of those requirements. You know what he got in with? He got in with tens of millions of votes, which is the only requirement It's one of very few requirements to be president. And he had. Here's the thing. There were people that could have stopped him in his own party along the way, and they chose not to. And I'm not saying that was good, but I'm saying that's how the law works. And they did have they had the 25th Amendment. Like, there's no, I want to know if there was, and I just want to know if there was an IQ test and or a psych test that was allowed to be given to, people at whatever stage. It's, I, I, I don't know if you think saying "for Pete's sakes" is going to convince me of something, but if there was a psychological evaluation or some sort that was allowed to be given to presidents, that was allowed to be given to candidates, what would prevent, what would be in place that would, prevent Republicans from using it for nefarious purposes? Like, I wouldn't want, as much as I want something to stop another Trump from becoming president, there are a lot of people that I would have liked to have stopped from becoming president over the years. And I think that the understanding what that kind of tool would be used for, knowing again the history of literacy tests, the history of IQ tests, and what they're used for, I'm not. It's it's I say please, it's as Christian just said, please come join the Discord server. This is where it's, if somebody can drop the link in there. No, and this is a really good point. It's I it's I feel, I've never it's I feel weird addressing someone by this name, but I concur. Games, Daddy. Anyways, presidents can't be fairly subject to a psych test. You have to have a degree of narcissism to think largest economy and military in history. I should be in charge of that. I kind of, I agree. Like, look, the it's the time. It's has anyone ever have you ever sat there thinking, what would it be like to wake up tomorrow morning and be president and know, like, the amount of people who would be able who would be watching and looking in on, and I would have to be in charge of all those people. The one time I thought about that for a second, because I thought about maybe I'll do politics, and then I thought, it's like, what's the end game with that? And it's like, what would it be like to, oh, I got sick to my, like, not literally throat, but like I was nauseous when I thought about what would it be like to, nope, not the gig for me. Babe is enough power for me, and that's very little power. That's all I need. But I would never underestimate the lack of integrity. I'm an unabashed misanthrope, but I would never underestimate the human ingenuity. Like, I guess I'm not sure. Like, I see, like, I I don't see how a thing like how you suggest that, given that we have, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. You put yourself out there. You threw an idea out there, and I'm like, let's tease this out a little bit, because I think, it's not, again, we yeah I have hope too, but that hope involves, electing someone better next time, and the party that, the parties having conversations within themselves, going, yeah, we got to talk to them out of running next time. It's like, I get that. See, and while there are plenty of things and people to make you feel weary, there are plenty of reasons to, I don't feel hopeful about the idea of putting IQ tests and psych evals out there, especially like, I'm pretty sure I'd be fine with it. Like, again, I plenty of us fancy ourselves people who would pass an IQ test, but what are they testing for? Who's running the psych eval? Who's evaluating the psych eval? Who's, again, as was pointed out earlier, they consider liberalism a mental disease. Some of these people, like, how many years ago was homosexual? I mean, I know it was the 1970s when it came out, when it was taken out, but, like, it was the early 70s, I believe, when homosexuality came out of the DSM. So I'm just saying, there are things that will be thrown out there as an insurmountable mental health issue in a test that I don't think it's. I don't think it's again. I hear what you're saying is a tool. It is not. Look, I just don't want to give the Republicans this particular hammer to try to bash our faces in with. It's not. It's not responsible. It's. not a tool I want to give them. And you and I can agree to disagree on that. I think that is a fine place I think I think it is okay to like, it's okay to say, I haven't convinced you that it's a bad idea, and you haven't convinced me that it's a good idea, and we're allowed but we're both allowed to sit there and go, I think there needs to be a better system for weeding out candidates that are going to fuck us in the end, because they're not at their full capacity. And I think, as much as as much as I don't like Mitch McConnell, he was capable when he was younger. As much as I think that Dianne Feinstein shouldn't be in the Senate now, she was obviously capable, super capable, just a few years ago even. But it's we there's got to be a better system, and I don't think a test that that is ultimately going to be on some level in the hands of that might be in the hands of politicians. It's really hard to know who would run that. I think it's not, it's, again, games, daddy. It's, oh wait, no, that wasn't supposed to be pinned. Just show that one. I do think a good start should be, we should be able to agree on is a sixth grade civics test. Yes, there we go. Sixth grade civics test. That's all. Oh, I thought we were just don't worry. It's like, I like being, I come in here specifically to be persuaded by you, Akiko, by you and no one else. Anyways, but no, it's like I enjoy these little tete-a-tetes. Anyways, it is getting on in hours. I have not sucked down enough of this. Definitely all flavor and not at all drug containing thing in the state of California vape. I'm gonna do that thing that I do at the end of these, and COVID cases are on an uptick, so we just gotta. It's thank you, angry, and sorry, just got something stuck in my throat. I don't know what it was. Thank you, angry young man in the Twitchiverse. I enjoyed your company as always. I just need to, COVID cases are on the uptick, and of course, we need to just check if that shit can be passed via camera. We always gotta check. We always gotta check. Anyways, I love you guys. Again, on Sunday, there's going to be a patron only stream. If you want to check that out, head over to patreon.com/SciBabe. Go and earlier in here, the link was shared over to our Discord server. And of course, I am popping in there generally to the Patreon. Like, there are a bunch of other forums, but if you want to, the place where I'm hanging out is over in Patreon chat. And of course, Sunday Patreon. If you want to support the channel, and of course all of my silliness in some way other than Patreon, and it's just go for Patreon. You get perks out of that. But if you want to support some way other than Patreon, there are a bunch of links below. Again, Amazon wishlist. There's some really cute shoes on there. Maybe I'll model them. Who knows? Anyways, I'm already on WikiFeed, which is weird. Anyways, I love you guys. Thanks for coming and hanging out. You have a wonderful Friday night, and I will see some of you on Sunday. I'll see the rest of you guys next week.